Welcome to the Pageantry PodCast.
And today's very special Pageantry Podcast guest calling in, actually this evening, is 2024 American Royal Beauties Queen of Queens, China Smith. China, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much, Carl, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited with our hurricanes, with the power outage. This has been hard to catch up on, but we did it. We made it, and I'm so pleased to have you with me tonight.
Yes, like I said to you before this, Carl, before we started recording, I never thought this was going to happen after every obstacle, but I'm so grateful to be here and so excited to be able to chat with you today.
Well, if you're ready to jump into the Q&A, I'm all set. How about you?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
You competed at American Royal Beauties 3 times, 3 years. What was it about the organization that made you want to keep coming back?
Yeah, I started with American Royal Beauties back in 2019, actually claiming their excellence title that has now been discontinued, and then continue to come back as a state title holder, starting off in Michigan. And I loved the sisterhood. We always talk about how amazing ARB sisterhood is, but it's truly unforgettable when you actually get to experience that firsthand. These women are just always so supporting and so loving, and they have nothing but kind things to say to each other and support each other. Additionally, it's the crown to serve, right? I'm here to give back. I'm here to use my crown to serve others, and that's what's been most important for me. Year over year, I have continued to come back because I loved that every state pageant we choose an organization that stands for what we believe in terms of community service and supporting the entire community. And for me, I said, I want to stand for an organization that supports everyone else and not just focusing on this beautiful crown on my head, but more about my heart and what I can give back to everyone else.
Please explain the title, Queen of Queens.
Yeah, so the Queen of Queens title is a very prestigious title that we always say in the organization. So you do have to reign as a national title holder 1 year before actually getting the opportunity to represent as Queen of Queens. So with that being said, I was crowned the National Miss last year. So 2023, I was our National Miss for American Royal Beauties. And then this year, I was crowned Queen of Queens. The process of it is that you have to create a scrapbook laying out all of the amazing things you did as your year as, for me, National Miss or whatever national title you held with the system before. You also have to create a video on why you feel that you should be the next Queen of Queens. So what you can do, all of the amazing things that you've done, and why you feel like you deserve to reign another year with the system. And then additionally, you have to write an essay of your plan for the year. So what you plan to do if you had the opportunity to reign for another year and get to represent American Royal Beauties, that's just such an amazing organization. So with that being said, it is a lengthy process, but it's worth every second because then you get to reign another year, you get to be back in the system, you get to help at such a larger extent, more specifically on the back end. And it's just a wonderful opportunity for any national title holder that's reigned the year prior.
As you mentioned, you're a previous national queen. That is part of the prerequisite for being Queen of Queens. Why is this title important to you?
Oh gosh, this title is so important to me because I've been like we talked about earlier, Carl. I've been in the system for 3 years before even getting a national title. So I knew my heart and soul for everything the ARB had to offer before even getting the opportunity to reign for a year with a national title. So for me, it was thinking about all of the amazing experiences I had in the past 3 years. I actually was the Community Service National Queen in 2020. So I got to reign with the national title there and then continued to move on to more state titles after that. And for me, just being in the system for so long and seeing both Sarah and Susan are amazing directors, give so much to the girls and just really show how much love they truly have for the system meant so much to me to be able to come back another year and reign as the Queen of Queens.
Tell me what makes American Royal Beauties unique.
Oh gosh, so many things. I know we talked about a little bit on the crown to serve aspect. And of course, some other systems really go out and, they focus on the piece of really ensuring that you're in the community giving back. But when you think about the crown to serve as it pertains to American Royal Beauties, the extent is unlimitless, and that's something that I think is so unique. Like I said, the state event alone, we collect hundreds of different donations for other organizations that are assigned per state. The national level, we choose additional organizations that we can give back to, and even our national queens are required to do one appearance every month to be able to represent in the organization. So with that being said, it's required for us to do at least 12 appearances of community service for the year. And again, if you don't know me, you know now that community service is so important to me and the piece of it within pageantry. So that's what I would say specifically on that piece. And then, of course, the sisterhood, as I mentioned before, but talked about that a little bit already.
And talking about the sisterhood, how many queens are involved in American Royal Beauties?
Yeah, so it just depends on what you're thinking about. So when you're thinking about the system of how many girls compete, we have over 250 girls that come out to nationals to compete across all different age ranges. So that can be anywhere between 0 to 100 plus. If you're still 100 and you're wanting to compete, we say let's do it. Why not? But in terms of being a representative or a national title holder, we do have 22 girls that are crowned at nationals. And that does not include our other National Queen of Distinction that we have, which is based off of the People's Choice Award that we have at nationals. And then additionally, I mentioned it before, but the Community Service Award. So that's based off of the individual that's shown a lot of love to their community, in addition to the aspect of giving back to your community through Crown to Serve. And then the last one is the ambassador title, which is another amazing option that you have that's actually selected directly from Sarah and Susan themselves. It's someone that they feel has represented the system, but hasn't had the opportunity to win the national title through the judges' eyes. But Sarah and Susan felt like it was deserving of them to be able to reign for the year with us as well. So those are all of the ranges of national queens we have. And then, like I said, we had the 250 plus girls that come to compete.
What can someone expect while competing for a national title?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of preparation, of course. As you know, with any pageant, you have to prepare like no other. But after the preparation's over and you get to go to nationals, the experience is one of its own. And I say that with someone that has been in pageantry for 14 years. I think that ARB has just truly outdone themselves every year since I've been there. We have different parties and activities that we do throughout the week. We also do a community service event directly at our national pageant. So with that being said, one night we will dedicate to every division sitting down and doing a community service activity together. This year, we actually got to choose the community service activity based off of the National Queens platform. So our girls that in the Miss Division, we got to create emergency bags for homeless individuals because my platform is ending the cycle of homelessness. So it was a great experience. Again, that was just one activity that you'd be able to have at nationals, but a lot of big parties, welcome parties, glitter parties. But it's always a great experience. And then, of course, all of the support of the sisterhood that everyone's just cheering you on and loving you as you're competing for the year, even though they know some of them at the end of the day, of course, will always win. So there's 22 that win, but all the rest of the girls are always so kind no matter what happens at the end of the day.
You touched upon it briefly that there are required personal appearances, community service projects, and of course you have your scrapbook.
Yeah.
How have you been able to use the crown thus far?
Yes, so I have taken more of a personal or I guess more of an intricate view within the system. So for myself as Queen of Queens, I have been able to kind of work on the back end a little bit more with ARB, which has been fantastic. I've got to jump in and be a part of helping schedule the venues and the events. But in terms of actually using my crown and sash out in my community, I volunteer weekly at the local homeless shelter. It's called the Mary and Martha House. So I go every week with the kiddos that are there. It's actually a homeless shelter and a domestic violence shelter. So a whole bunch of moms and their kids live in this shelter. And I get to go ahead and watch the kids while the parents get some parental guidance support. And it's just a great experience that I get to bring my crown and sash with me. We like to color sometimes. Just depends on the kiddos' ages, but it's great to be able to show them, the pretty stuff, but also bring a smile to their face because, with their circumstance, it's sometimes hard to bring support and love. And I wanted to make sure to do that in my community.
And if I understand correctly, you have now joined the ARB national team as a state director.
I have, yes. I took over as the Florida State Director. So last year was our first Florida pageant, which was a lot of my backhand work that I actually did myself. So I'm so happy that we finally got to do it. It's just so hard to try to get a state pageant up and running when no one represents in that state. So I was finally happy to be able to be the only Florida representative. But now we've crowned amazing women in the Florida area, which has been fantastic. But then, kind of leading into now, I have taken over as a state director to be able to continue to grow and emphasize the importance of Crown to Serve within my beautiful state of Florida.
As well as my beautiful state of Florida.
Yeah.
Not as
Yes.
beautiful as it was a couple of months ago, but we're
Yeah.
getting back to normal. We still have a lot of flooding and a lot of detritus. It's just crazy.
Only some debris on the roads. Yeah, it's a work in progress, but honestly, they say that the state of Florida, everyone works so hard together. It's been amazing to see, like when there's something of such a disaster happening, these people are amazing to get together and just want to love and support each other and just jump in and help any way they can. So it's been cool to see, even though it's under horrible circumstances. I don't know if you agree, Carl.
I do agree.
Yeah.
As someone who has competed in pageantry for 14 years, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
what does someone gain from competition?
Oh gosh, I've gained so much. I definitely would say when I started, so I started at 10 years old, so it kind of shows my age there. But when I started at 10 years old, I loved being able to jump on stage, right? So it was completely more of a toddlers and tiaras thought in my head when I was 10. But then as I started to grow up, it was more about what I could do again in my community, but more of the public speaking aspect. I gained so much ability to talk and continue to kind of show my ability to be more poised out in public. And that has been such a life changer for me. And I credit every moment to pageantry, every moment of it.
I love it. As someone who's been in it mostly their whole life, that is one of the biggest attributes that when I speak to other news outlets, that is a main point of pageantry. And you can always tell someone who's grown up with it, you can speak well in public, whether we have a difference of opinions, at least you can, unlike some of those who may be running for offices or whatever, you can actually explain it in a succinct manner to whether I agree or not. I do respect your point of view, and I commend you on that.
Yeah. How much interview work that you have to do just to convince someone of your personal, opinions and thoughts without offending someone is an amazing skill to have. And again, that all came from pageantry 100%. So, yes, I completely agree with you. No matter what job or whatever occupation that you decide to go into, it definitely supported me 1,000,000%. As someone that comes from sales now is what I do. So, it definitely supports it a little bit better than if I were thinking about my 10-year-old self.
Let's talk a little bit more about your personal platform regarding the homeless and domestic violence in combination. How did you become involved in that?
Yes. So when I was younger, I actually would always find myself loving to be able to give back to homeless individuals. So it was when I was, driving down the road, I would see someone homeless and I'd want to give them everything that was in my pocket. I'd say, here, take whatever I have. I don't care. It was at whatever age, I was always like that. That was always my heart. And so as I grew up, I realized that I needed to make a bigger difference. And with that being said, I started actually in college. There was a program that we had that was called Faith in Action. So I actually went to a Catholic college. But the point of that course was to be able to kind of support your religion while also supporting community service. And so they actually tied me to a organization that was called Ending the Cycle of Homelessness, again, for my same platform now. And from there, I got to just go into the actual facility, help with the kids. Again, if you didn't know, I love kids. I'll talk about them a million times over. But they were amazing. They allowed me to come in, help with the kids, bring in as many donations as I wanted to. They were always willing to take in everything, and they were so kind to me. So with that being said, once I moved to Florida, because I was born and raised in Michigan. So once I moved to Florida about 2 years ago, I knew that I needed to find another organization that did something just like that. It meant so much to me. And the Mary and Martha House has been just that. So it's been an amazing experience now to be able to go in weekly with them. And same situation every holiday, I will come and I'll bring food or donations of any kind if I, have them for any sake. And so it's been just an amazing experience to continue that support and love for the homeless that I do have, especially because the homeless population has a hard time with kind of giving their voice out. A lot of the times people misconceive what homelessness really is. And so I like to be the voice for them as well.
How can someone learn more about the ARB pageant system?
Yeah, so besides arbpageants.com, we are all over the place in terms of social media. So you'll find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere that you turn on any social media account, we are there. But of course, any of our national title holders would also be so happy to talk to you about how amazing their experience has been and the system. So myself included, any of our newly crowned queens, and then we also have our lifetime queens that are amazing as well that have been in the system for could be 10 plus years. That's been more than happy again to reach out, to have you reach out to them and support in any way they can.
So the main website is arbpageants.com. And I
That's
do
correct.
know on Instagram, it is at ARB Pageants as well.
You are correct. Yep, that's it.
Is there anyone you would like to recognize?
Oh gosh, if I could recognize every single person, I would. But I definitely love, of course, I have to mention Sarah and Susan. Our directors are absolutely amazing, and I have to recognize them. Again, Susan is our executive director, so she is the brains and the beauty of the entire organization. She has done everything for us. She has been the heart and soul since the very beginning, and we love her so much. That woman works tirelessly every single day. And then, of course, Sarah, who is our national director. Again, amazing human being, so kind-hearted, and they are just fantastic. I can't say enough of how much I love them, and I couldn't shout anyone else out other than those two.
Any final thoughts?
No, just thank you, Carl, so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I know, like I said in the beginning, it's been a fun path for us back and forth on the phone and everything between the hurricane, but I'm so, so, so grateful for the opportunity to be able to talk on Pageantry Magazine podcast.
And I do have a final thought. And with all the challenges of getting this together with Helene, then Milton, etc., I'd come up to ARB in Cincinnati for the 10th anniversary. And I think you realized after it was over that I was actually brought in to crown you Queen of Queens. And due to circumstances, we had to leave for the airport early. And of course, when we get to the airport, we get the little dink on the phone that, oh, the flight's been delayed for 2 hours, which means I could have stayed. So I will make it up to you in the future when I see you again at the next ARB National Pageant. Promise?
Yeah. Promise, I promise. I'm excited to see you again. I know we even chatted a few times backstage when we were together, but yes, we have to connect again. We're now connected, Carl, you and I. No way possible to get rid of me.
We're
I
in a
promise.
glamour lifestyle for life. How about that?
Perfect. I love it.
And today's very special guest has been 2024 American Royal Beauties Queen of Queens, China Smith. China, thank you so much for calling in this evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carl, for your time. I appreciate it.